Hello everybody, this video is called Django Stripe Checkout, and as you can see, payments infrastructure for the internet. You may or may not know what Stripe is. It's payment processing, a bit like PayPal. I'm going to be showing a project I've done which is based on a tutorial which is very good, which I want to recommend to anybody who may be interested. Michael Herman, who is the co-founder of RealPython. So if you're interested in Python, you've probably looked or seen realpython.com. And I followed a tutorial by Michael, and I have produced a Django site which has Stripe payment processing incorporated or integrated even. So this is going to be probably a 20-30 minute long video. That's the plan. You'll know when you play the video how long it is anyway, so this is the tutorial. So if you want to ignore what I'm saying and just cut straight to the tutorial, then here it is. At least try and stay for 2 minutes, 2 minutes 20, 2 minutes 30, and then that will just take me over my average view time. It's my fault really. I should make better videos, shouldn't I? Anyway, right, so what I've done is I've set up a product in Stripe. Now with Stripe, let me just go forward a couple. If I'm still logged in, I hope I am. And yeah, what I've set up is a product, and I've given it a price, and it's got an ID. The ID is very important. We will need that in the Django code, which I'll show you in a second. I'm in test mode, which is obviously what you need to do first. You've got test mode and you've got production mode. To switch over, I believe it is fairly straightforward. So you develop kind of with both settings, and you use both API keys you'll put into your code. So effectively, as soon as you switch over in Stripe, you'll actually be live. Let me just show. So you've got payments. The whole point of this video is, in the past I've shown many videos which are very kind of academic or tutorial based. I'm going to start showing more real life projects and side projects, side hustles, money making schemes that I'm interested in. I think you can study and you can read so many books and you can do so many tutorials, but with things the way they are, I think we all need to kind of have a little sideline and try and also once you do have a pet project, which you ideally it's going to make you some money, then spending time on it is a bit more worthwhile than just doing some of the tutorials are kind of, especially for instance web scraping, where you just web scrape a dummy, is it books to scrape? Yeah, that's great, but and also with Django, you just create a to-do list, or if you do a JavaScript tutorial, then it's just again, it's probably a to-do list. So I thought I'd just dive straight in. And yeah, this Django Stripe tutorial, it's quite long, but it's very accurate. And I think the most important thing with any tutorials is the accuracy. If something's out of date, chances are it's inaccurate. If something's been missed, it's inaccurate. So yeah, when I say accuracy, you want it to be complete, and this is totally complete. I've only found one slight anomaly, easy for me to say, and that is when I was creating the views.py. It might be something I've done wrong, but when I tried putting in this, it didn't work, but I'll show you what I did to get around that. So again, it may well be something I've done wrong, but I replaced all this just with price, and so the key was price, and there I put in the price. Instead of t-shirt, I put in kind of the code which Stripe generates for your product. So when you generate a product, you get a product ID. So that actually goes in there. Obviously this is a web page, so I can't paste it in, but I'll show you shortly. So this tutorial, one of the things I really like about it, and I think I will do it whenever I do any kind of mini tutorials. I'm never going to be doing ones as thorough as this. This is excellent. But one of the things which I'm trying to find it now. Maybe it was his other tutorial, but one of the things Michael's I actually paid for one of his tutorials, so I'll put the link to the one that I did. But one of the things he does in his full tutorials is use tree. So if you're not familiar with tree, that's too many. If I go into, let's go into templates, and then I'll do tree. That's actually quite a flat tree structure. But if you're familiar with Unix or Linux, tree basically shows you the nested tree structure. You have to install it, sudo apt install tree. But yeah, it's very good for when you're following a tutorial, especially something like Django, where you can often have the same file name but in two different folders. I'm not going to comment on Django. The jury's still out. Personally, frameworks. I'm not a big fan of frameworks, but I see their necessary evil sometimes. And for this project, I chose to follow Michael's tutorial because I know that his tutorials are really thorough. So I was fairly confident it would work. And obviously, when you're doing a tutorial, that's obviously the most important thing. There's no point doing a tutorial for an hour or 2 hours and then you get to the last bit and it doesn't work. So without further ado, let's actually look at the code. So I've created base, cancelled, footer, header, home. Let's just zoom in on that bit. And oh, that's gone. Yeah, hopefully that's nice and readable now. So I've created all these templates. With these templates, if you're familiar with Ginger or Flask, it's a similar format. So the way I've done it is I created base, and I've got home. And what happened was I created base, and base is actually the structure that gets used. It's going to get used everywhere. Home will be just the home page, and on the home page I've included an image. So that's another thing, static images. Once you start getting into Django, you think, oh, I just put an image in there, an image src, but it's not that easy. So that you may find that frustrating if you've not worked with Django before. Static images are a bit of if you go to static there, you'll see I've with images, you can have static images, which are obviously part of the website, and you can have non-static images, which can be ones which users have uploaded. For instance, if you've written some kind of e-commerce site or something where users upload images of their products, they wouldn't be in static. So yeah, be careful with your images because you can have a folder called media, which is empty because nobody's uploaded anything and then static, which is an image of a cat. So I'm not going to talk all the way through this because I think that would make quite a boring video. Michael's tutorial is out there and I'm going to put the link at the end for that. So let's just demonstrate this and put you all out of your suspense. Python manage.py run server. And well, I've got an error. I've got an error because I went down the directory. So again, already running into I don't know. It's not really. It's just specifics of a framework, isn't it? And I don't like investing too much time learning frameworks. I always feel that I want to be learning coding techniques and how to algorithms. And yeah, if you like frameworks, it's fair enough. Anyway, this is the site. So if you follow Michael's tutorial, which is, as we saw, called Django Stripe Tutorial, it was written on the 25th of November last year, so it's still recent. So I think that's, for me, once something gets more than 2 years old, I start thinking, oh, maybe it's out of date, or I might follow the tutorial and something might not work. But I would say this has probably still got another year or so before that's even a remote chance. So from his tutorial, I've made this. So this is the important thing, join. So it's a fictitious club. Instead of kind of Fight Club, it's called Cat Club. Come and see a Cat Club. So there would be like gifts. Don't worry about that. That's just a Django error page because I've not put anything behind these links yet. But yeah, so you cat club, click join. You have to wait 2 or 3 seconds. Stripe is not that quick, but you can tell something's happening. And yeah, it's the same with PayPal or any payment processing. It's never instantaneous, is it? And here we go. So from that little humble button, it's taken us to checkout.stripe.com. Basically, it was calling the Stripe API, which you get access to when you sign up to Stripe. So yeah, when you sign up, you then get access. You need to put in your phone number, bank details, and yeah, all that stuff. But you do with anything these days because of KYC, AML, and all these other excuses to kind of keep track on you. But yeah, anyway, one-off. You can choose if you want a one-off payment or a recurring payment when you set things up in when you set your product up. So let's check. If you want to see how I did the products, let's quickly create the product, another product. So home. So starting from the home page, these graphs are just where I've been testing with dummy products. So click on products, add products, and I don't know. Say you've written a book. My book. My biography. Yes, so it's an ebook, so electronically supplied services. You could upload an image. So yeah, again, just keeping in the cat theme. So I've uploaded the cat image, standard pricing. You can choose, so let's say for all you American fans out there, one time. So you could do recurring, a bit like Patreon or whatever. Yeah, and then you save product. Then what you do is you use the ID, which, can you see down here? You've got an ID. Copy that to the clipboard, and then, I know I keep talking about it, let me just show you where I used it. So within Michael's code, or I say Michael's code, the code that I copied from Michael's tutorial, what was it under? I think, was it views? Yes, there we go. I put the 2 red dots there, look. So on Michael's tutorial, there were 4 things there. What was it? Let me just find it. Should have found it earlier, shouldn't I? There we go. So name, quantity, currency, amount. So those line items, when I used that yesterday, it didn't work. So so I ended up just putting in price and quantity, and it works. So I'm happy with that. This is still kind of MVP, work in progress, proof of concept, but ultimately I may look to use it in production. I'll get onto the, not the pitfalls, but the additional tasks that you need to do when you want to deploy this. Basically Nginx, Unicorn, so on. Reverse proxy Nginx. So yeah, I'm not going to do a full-on Django tutorial because I don't know it well enough. But yeah, you kind of use a bit. If you're familiar with PHP, these are like your includes, and then you include the footer. So the footer here, it's just HTML, and you save it as HTML. And when you want to use it, you can just do include. So you just include the HTML there. The cat picture, because it was static, slightly different format with the percentage signs. Include, and load static, because I had a static image within that page. I had to do load static at the top. Again, these are all specific to Django, and yeah, I don't especially want to have to. I haven't got time right now to learn a big framework such as Django, but I do want to make potentially a money-making website. So yeah, it's kind of I've got a bit of a dilemma, but right, okay, so let's just demo it. Michael's also put in the code to take you to a landing page after You have to put it in the right format for this, because if you get it, it does slightly do some validation. No, your card expired. Michael Mouse. You can actually put in any old rubbish on here, so and then you click pay. Put in BA33 5MG. Let's see what happens there. And click pay. So obviously it goes to Stripe, does all the authentication, the secure checkout, and your payment succeeded. Again, this is the code from Michael's tutorial. So the code so you have to handle whether it succeeds, whether the transaction was cancelled, and then you set up a webhook, which I have set it up, but it's not live within the code, because you need to know whether it's no good. You don't want to be sending out a product if somebody's clicked cancel, do you? So cancel template, and if you read the bit at the end, there's the example credit card details where you can. This is really good. It puts kind of lines through the flow, so you know where you are. So we've done step 3, confirm payment with Stripe webhooks. Our app works well at this point, but we still can't programmatically confirm payments and perhaps run some code if payment was successful. We already redirect the user to the success page after they check out, but we can't rely on that page alone since payment confirmation happens asynchronously. So yeah, you go to the 2 types of events in Stripe and program in general: synchronous and asynchronous. Asynchronous events, which don't have an immediate result because payment confirmation is done asynchronously. The user might get redirected to the success page before their payment is confirmed and before we receive the funds. So there's some bits about using Stripe webhook there. You get a third lot of credentials with Stripe. There it is. You have to set it up, then go to their web page, and then click OK, and then you get the key, and then you have to put the key into Django, and yeah, it's not easy. I don't think it's easy, but if you're doing this as a job, then probably it's just you just do whatever. But anyway, that's kind of the overall view of this project. So I don't think other considerations. So I've shown Stripe briefly. I've shown a link to Michael's tutorial, so you might want to do that. Have a look at his other tutorials if you're interested in FastAPI, Docker, anything to do with Python. There's 3 links in my video for affiliate links, which helps me, helps the video, helps sustain this channel, and you will then be able to subscribe and sign up for those. So what I was going to get to next, briefly talk about doing code as a business rather than school or study or university or academic. So just get your hands dirty and think, how can I create something that will make me money? It changes your mindset, and not being money grabbing. As I said on Code Monkey King's interview the other day, I'm not really money grabbing. I don't buy any clothes. My laptops are both about 4 years old. My PC, if you look at an old video I did about 3 or 4 months ago, the power supply blew up, and then I bought another power supply for about 20 quid, and I fitted that, and but I don't use it. I don't use my PC very often, other than when I'm putting loads of graphics and titles on an occasional video, but I don't use it so much now because the power, I think it's 450 watts or something, so it's going to use a lot of electric, and electricity is so dear in the UK and anywhere now, so but my theory behind making money is make money for yourself so that you can eventually get enough money to maybe just about get by with, without having to do a day job, or without having to say, you know, yes, sir, I'll work at the weekend, or yes, sir, I'll do exactly what you said, and yeah. We all know about financial freedom and financial independence and everything. There's plenty of books out on it. I think it's called, is it FIRE, Financial Independence, Retire Early? There's loads of books about that, sort of maybe 5 years ago, but I think that's probably all a pipe dream now, because unless you're a scammer and you make loads of money out of some dodgy cryptocurrency, then making enough money to retire on is probably difficult now. But I think side hustles, I don't have an issue with side hustles. So if you have a little side product or project, and something you can just build and grow. Whereas if you just do, one day you do like a to-do list, and then the next day you do some, and I've been guilty of this, the next day I'll do some pandas, the next day I'll try to do some machine learning, and you just end up being not very good at all of them. But if you've got your own project, which actually is potentially going to just make you a small amount of money, it's amazing how motivating that is, and then you will just chip away at it. And there's a saying about every journey begins with the first step, and you could just build on things. And that's the thing with code: build, 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 rather than go from 0 to 100 and then it's done, and then you want to just do something else. When you start a project, start it as if treats it like a small project, but as if you are going to be working on it forevermore. So don't think, oh, I'm going to start it, it's going to take me 8 weeks, and then it's finished. Don't think like that. Think that I'm going to be working on it. Chances are something might change in the future, so I'll have to come back and fix it. And if it's really good, then people will like it, and it could make me a small amount of money. And then just always leave the door open to expand, enlarge, and make additions, but without actually making everything so big and clunky to start with. So just make something small, make it good, minimum viable product, which one of my favorite books, if you read The Art of Clean Code, Dr. Christian Mayer, I forget which chapter it is, I think it's quite early on, talks about fail fast, fail early, and minimum viable product, MVP, just get it out there. The more you prevaricate, or the more people just say, oh, we can't run it yet because it's not, it's not formatting such and such, and it's not capable of doing 1,000 products an hour, or if you'd invented the wheel and it wasn't quite round, somebody said, oh, that's right, no, we're not going to use it yet. Or if somebody invented the airplane, if you invented the airplane and somebody said, oh yeah, but it can't fly above the clouds yet, so we're not going to use it. we'd never have taken off. We'd never got into the sky. So anyway, that's my rant for today. What are your thoughts, comments? If you've got any theories, you think I'm talking rubbish? If you do, then I'd be interested to hear. And to be honest, if you think I'm talking rubbish, you've probably gone already. So just to recap, this is not in production because, well, the things you need to do, you need to set up Nginx as a reverse proxy, because the Nginx can handle the web requests, but then the Python side of things, the Django part, has to run behind Unicorn, which then sends back a response to Nginx, so Nginx is like a proxy, is a proxy, and then you've also got your static content, a bit like I mentioned with the static and the images. So that Nginx can treat those parts just as a normal web server, but anything that's generated, produced, processed with the Django code, that has to go via Unicorn. and you have to do some additional settings for Unicorn and for Nginx, and you have to make them play nicely with each other. There's lots of videos out there on that. I don't know if I'm going to use Docker. Again, it's just another thing to kind of refresh my memory on, and again, I just want to get it working, and then I'll fine tune it, add to it, and so on. The other thing, most tutorials will show HTTP, and even when you run, where we gone? When you run, so that's Stripe's HTTPS, but when you actually run the test development server and everything, it's always just HTTP. So just bear in mind that when you're developing stuff, there's always a bit more work to do, because you will end up having to, especially if you're handling payments and so on, you need HTTPS anyway. So just bear in mind you will need to set up certificates. And if you're buying a domain name, check whether if you're buying a domain name and you're not hosting it with that company, check. Obviously, you just go in to manage your domain, and then you change the DNS and you change the A record, or the AAA record. When you change that to point it at your hosting, check whether your hosting gives you or provides you with any type of SSL certificate. Webdock, who I've mentioned, Webdock actually provides you with that feature. So there's a thing called certbot. So you don't need to buy an additional SSL certificate, because they're not free. An SSL certificate for 1 year, I believe, is £25, British pounds, with ionos.co.uk. So yeah, Webdock, free SSL certificate. You can run a thing called certbot. When it loads, you get the little red diagonal line for about a tenth of a second, and then it changes to the padlock, and it's all, so something's happening there. It's not instantaneous, but it's not an issue. Yeah, so there we go. That's kind of my latest little mini project, and it's work in progress. I'm intending to host it with Webdock and set up Nginx and Unicorn. I've already had it go and failed miserably. There's a lot of config files to edit, and the paths. You do have to, once you're setting the server up, you do have to kind of hard code a lot of the paths, so they're not all relative. Many of the paths are actually absolute paths when you're setting up things with Nginx. Yeah, an environment variable .env file. So yeah, and you'll need to hide your Stripe API key. You'll need to hide your Django secret. Yeah, your Stripe webhooks key. So Stripe production, Stripe test, Stripe webhooks. Yeah, and your Django key. Don't forget to hide your Django key. I'd probably just set my GitHub repo to private until I've got everything working, because there's always a chance you might accidentally put a key up, and then there's bots out there that troll GitHub for, I think it's probably running some sort of regex, and it's looking for API key, API underscore key, and so on. So yeah, don't be that person. I tried really hard with my eBay video to pixelate out all of my API key information. With that, really, somebody could use up all of my requests, and they would use up all my limits, and they might even get me banned for sort of DDoS or something. But with Stripe, yeah, it's obviously even more important, because potentially somebody could compromise your account and extract real money from I want to say real money, fiat money, fiat. So if you're interested in crypto, you may or may not have heard of the word fiat. If you're interested in Bitcoin, which is separate from crypto, so if you like crypto, you're probably not my friend. If you like Bitcoin, you will be my friend. So Bitcoin, crypto, two separate things. Yeah, Bitcoin, real money, because it's finite, 21 million. It's got scarcity. It's decentralized, utterly secure, crosses international borders as long as you've got the key inside your brain. I'll say the key, the seed phrase. Nobody can hijack it. Nobody can steal it from you, other than if they hold you at gunpoint. But even with that, you can have something called multi-sig, so it's set up with needing permission of other people as well. Anyway, this is not a video about Bitcoin, but I just wanted to say about real money. So although I said real money, I meant money that potentially you could get back from Stripe for selling something and then spend, but spend it quickly before inflation makes it worthless. And if you, okay, this is the end of the Python video now. This is just me ranting about money, but if you're not familiar with 1971 and what happened, look up WTF happened in 1971. Also look up on YouTube, What is Money, Robert Breedlove. You will learn stuff. Oh, well, I did, because I didn't know all these things. But and again, it's not kind of tinfoil hat stuff. It is real stuff. And the dollar is the global reserve currency. And then when the price of a dollar goes up, people think, oh, well, that's in America, or it doesn't matter, or it's just, oh, if I go to Florida or Disney, it might cost me more. But no, all international business is done in something called the euro dollar, and that is if a company in, say, the UK does business with a company in, I don't know, Italy or something, neither of them really wants each other's currency, so they use an intermediary currency such as the dollar, because with that dollar you can then buy nice secure bonds, and you can buy treasury bonds that have got nice yields and potentially nice yields, 10 years, 20-year bonds, probably something like 3%, which is better than you're getting in the bank account at the moment, even though banks are charging probably about 4% for interest, and they're giving savers about 1%. So yeah, don't even get me started on banks. On that note, I should probably stop now before I turn into kind of a public enemy #1 for undermining the banks, and YouTube will come after me, and then it will all end in tears. So yeah, if you want to make some money, think about creating a project, an ebook, something with code. Just be creative, because making money is not bad. If you're creative and you're providing something of value to other people, you're exchanging your time and your skill, which is finite. Your time is always, everyone's time is finite. So by earning money for providing a valuable service, making other people happy or healthy, or making the world a better place, then there's nothing wrong with making money. And Stripe I think is good. Personally, I think it's probably got lower fees than PayPal, and it's probably not quite as yeah, I better stop here, because otherwise I'll get deplatformed for dissing PayPal or somebody. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will leave the links in the description for Michael Hemmond's courses. And as you can see from his course, I was able to pretty much learn Django from scratch and set up some nice payment processing, which allows you to join Cat Club. In the moment, it's only a hypothetical club, but if everybody likes cats and they think it's a good idea, and everyone wants to join my cat club, then maybe we could make it a real thing. Up to you. Comment if you like cats, but if you don't like them, then I'd rather you just didn't leave a comment. So yeah, on that note, see you next time.